would like to give a huge shout out to Gundam Central Shop. This is where I get all of my third party model kits. They have been a huge supporter to the channel. So if you are looking into getting your own third party model kits, I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description.
Hey, what is up everyone, and welcome back to the Animous, and today we are going to be reviewing the Star Destroyer from Iron Toys version black. Let's get right to it.
So jumping straight into the unboxing for this review, this is probably one of the coolest designs that I've seen in boxes. It just says so little with so much, if that makes sense. So normally when you receive model kits that have designs on them, you can actually see that the pictures are portrayed or the mobile suits are portrayed in a certain manner in the box. With this one, it's very simplistic yet a little bit sophisticated, where they decided to portray that version dark or version black for the model kit itself. Now, as far as the unboxing itself, the box is super heavy because it comes with a ton of runners to build this model, as well as your manual, your water slide decals, metallic decals, and your metal inner frame. And yes, you guessed it, this thing is sturdy. Each individual runner comes individually packed without any issues, and everything came in perfectly. Now, the only setback that I saw with this model was that some parts were falling off the runners when I was unpacking it. So I'm pretty sure that it had something to do with the shipment itself whenever, the runners got rattled around. But aside from that, I experienced no issues or very little issues when building this kit.
Hey, what is up everyone, and welcome back to another Animous review. I know this is long overdue. I decided to pull the video initially for the Star Destroyer, or the dark matter, so I could give you guys a little bit more when it came to this model kit, because the build experience was just that good. So we went ahead and got the water slide decals on, we panel lined and we top coated the model. So that way you guys can see it in its full glory, not without accidents, of course, but you guys will see that in the video. So initially, the first thing we used was 2 pairs of nippers. We used for myself, I've been using 2 single-bladed nippers whenever I'm building a kit, so I got 2 of those. We used an X-Acto knife, not only to go ahead and get that excess plastic, but we also used this for the water slide decals. We went ahead and used an anti-static tweezer. These I used for water slide decals, or those small parts that needed a little bit more love to make them fit. Now, you guys already know that I love glass files, so I went ahead and used my Raser, but this is not just any Raser. This is the actual Gundam Country Raser that they came out with. Now, this is a limited count, and I'm so lucky to have this on my channel. Shout out to them. If you are looking for one, these are limited counts, so I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description of this video. Their full review on the design and everything will come in my GBWC video, which I'll be releasing soon for my build for this year. So keep a lookout for that. Definitely my favorite design so far when it comes to a GunPrimer Raser. Next, you're gonna need your little container with your sponge and some water, so that way you can go ahead and place your water slide decals in there. I gotta be very careful with that one because that one still has water in it. Now, for this specific build, I use my Microsol and Microset to apply the water slide decals. It's just a preference, like depending on what I'm building. If I'm doing a straight build or anything like that, I might use this instead of just Mr. Setter and Mr. Softer. It just depends on how I'm feeling that day and whatever's more accessible, or I can grab it quickly. You need 2 brushes to apply your Microset and Microsol. Little bit of lighter fluid, so that way you can go ahead and clean that excess panel line. And with that, we also used the panel line accent color from Tamiya, and of course my handy dandy toothpick. Now, I use this for a lot of things. Most of the times when I'm building something, I use the toothpick to apply decals, most likely, or to move decals around. Some people like to use their tweezers. I noticed that with this kit, that was almost next to impossible considering how delicate they were. But aside from that, everything worked out well. And there you have it. These are the tools that I used for this build. Now, again, with the fact that I took a little bit extra steps, then it's a lot more tools than you would normally see on my reviews. But I did want to make sure that you guys understood that, even if you are straight building your kit, then it could go either or. If you have water slide decals or you have normal decals, then it's just going to depend on how many tools you're going to need. Now, some tools that I don't have here is going to be my airbrush and the clear coat, of course, because we did go ahead and apply some clear coat on the model. But aside from that, these were the tools that I needed just to make a snap build. I didn't need anything else, some swabs here and there so I could go ahead and clean the excess panel line with the ladder fluid. But aside from that, we didn't need anything else, just to keep that in mind. Now, with that being said, all of this is optional. You do not need any of these tools to do just a snap build. If you don't decide that you don't want to use the decals, that's completely fine. If you want to use something else like a pen for panel lining, you can do that as well. I know for a fact that, some people might not have most of these tools accessible, and that's completely fine. Don't stray away from, maybe not wanting to build a kit because of that, because you can build it without most of these tools. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the manual for the Star Destroyer. This was requested by one of my viewers, and I figured that, it wouldn't hurt to help you guys better understand the manual when it comes to the models that I build on the channel. So Iron Toys has been making kits for a while now. I know for a fact that they have others on the line that are terrific kits and newer kits as well, newer than the Star Destroyer. But something that has always baffled me about this company is their consistency. The consistency in the kits that they are putting on the table is terrific. Now, with that being said, there are some faults. I know for a fact that this is not the first Iron Toys model kit that I build, and aside from the fact that the parts were stable and I didn't have anything fall off the kit, I did have issues with the kit falling apart when I was trying to pose it. Now, it might have been that some parts were a little bit too loose, or you got those double O problems where, that parts always fall off double O kits. But then again, with that being said, most of their parts had perfect fitment. And obviously that metal frame had a lot to play into this model kit stability, considering that you could actually stand it up with the backpack. Now for the manual itself, you do have your standard manual where you get all the runners accounted for, you get all your metal parts that are accounted for here, and then you also have the actual build for the model. Now I do have to say that the head unit itself has 3 versions that you can build. Myself, I chose to go with a double O style head, which is with the GN converters and the actual V-fin from the amazing Exia. So granted, you don't have to choose that yourself. You could actually go with one of the designs. This is the original design here for the actual head for the Star Destroyer. I actually left the visor, but everything else in the head just screams Exia Dark Matter. Now, the next thing I want to talk about from the manual is going to be the water slide decals sheet. Now, I do have to say that, if you don't, I honestly don't know how to read this. Somebody told me that I could start using Google Translate. I did, and then it let me know which decals were what. So these are going to be like the foil decals, which I'll show you the sheet in a minute. And then the ones that are not circled, they're going to be water slide decals. You can see that also the water slide decals are highlighted in green. So there are going to be a lot of water slide decals left over once you finish building this kit. That's not a big issue. I do believe that they added them because they're part of like the double O style decals, which is fine. And if you did want to add them to the model, it wouldn't hurt. Now, with that being said, we're going to talk a little bit about the decals that the actual model brings. So I'm going to be very honest. I hate color correcting stickers. That's why I did not apply them to the model. I did use most of the metallic stickers on here, mainly because I went ahead and top coated it, and let's be honest, it did add a little bit more detail to the model. Again, these are optional. You do not have to use these yourself. I just went ahead and added them because I figured that they would look nice. So I didn't have any issues with that. Now you do have the GN converters here for the double O style armors that you have extra on the model. I didn't use them. That's why they're still on the sheet, and that's why they're still there. Now for the water slide decals, you will have a few water slides that are going to be left over. Now, the one thing I like about these is that they're gray, or light gray or darker. It's like a mid gray. And so if you are painting a model kit and you have these left over and you want to use them, you're more than welcome to. All they are is warning signs, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, jumping straight into the extra parts that the model kit brings. The model kit will bring all the GN converter and GN drive clear plastics. All of these will fit in Exia, so I would save them in case you guys want to make a custom Exia build. Then you do have the clear plastics here, even for the GN drive, so I would definitely keep these. The model kit also brings two style of blade clear parts. You do have the clear parts in orange, and then you do also have the it's like an orange pinkish color. I chose those for the model kit itself, but you don't have to. You do get options for both parts. Now, aside from that, most of the extra parts are going to be color parts. So, for example, you do have some areas where you get to choose whether you're going to use silver or red or black. So I went ahead and mixed and matched all the parts. So I do have a lot of parts left over when it comes to that. The other thing that I want to mention is that the model brings 3 different style V-fins. You do have your silver V-fin right here. Then you also have your red V-fin here for the Star Destroyer, and you also get the extra one, which is the one for the 00 style head. So just keep that in mind. You don't have a lot of parts left over once you're done building the kit, but I do appreciate the fact that I got all these clear parts for 00 kits, because I do have a lot of 00 custom builds that I have pending. So having these GN converter parts is actually a plus. Next up, we are going to talk about the base, and this is where mistakes happened. It actually happened while I was recording the second take of the posing, so I was unable to take any more footage on the base itself because the peg for the base snapped off. Now, I can blame myself because I usually try to make sure that I'm as gentle as possible, especially with soft plastics. This base, definitely not the best base that Iron Toys has put out. Aside from the fact that it has a good design, it is very, very soft. It's like really soft plastic. So when I was putting the actual part, I was trying to fit some attachments to see if I could put the actual backpack on there so it could display by itself. The peg actually broke off. So this base is useless right now. So luckily, I do have a lot of a metal build style bases, so I'll definitely end up having to use one of those to pose my kit. It kind of sucks because I did like how this base looked all together, especially with all the gimmicks. There's nothing I can do. Once I could go ahead and pin it and try to glue it back on, but that's just extra work for something that I could just replace with another base. Now, with that being said, aside from the accident and the plastic being really, really soft, the design that they used or the decals that they put on this base are actually really nice and complement the model very well with the color contrast. Now, the other thing that I liked about this base is that this base has a gimmick where it'll hold some of the weapons up as you're posing, and I think that's what hurts the most about losing this this part of the base here, is that this, when it's displayed with the blades like that, it just looks really good. Now, the base itself does not have any storage at the bottom. Like I mentioned before, it's just a soft little base plastic here. But I do feel that if you leave it alone with the attachment just to put the model on, and you don't try to do a lot of finagling to try to put other stuff on it, then at that point you'll be okay. Just keep in mind that not to go ahead and manhandle it, because if you do, you might break the base. Now, the model has the 00 style hands when it comes to these models. It has the actual stationary hands where you just go ahead and interchange the fingers. So you do have the weapon grasping hand, which are the ones that are currently on the model. Then you have your open palm hands and your closed fist hands. Not a lot of hands to choose from, and that's okay. You do get the opposable thumb on the model itself, so you don't have to do a lot of swapping of parts. With that being said, I do recommend that you're very careful when you're doing it, because anybody that has built a 00 kit before, you do know that once you start wearing off that finger peg that holds the actual part of the hand that has the fingers onto the model, and it starts falling off, the only way to fix it is by putting glue on it, and once you do that, you can't use any more hands. Now we're going to jump into the weapon systems for this model, and I love it. I love the fact that it brought all these blades. I love the fact that it brought 2 Buster Swords, or the option to build 2 Buster Swords. And I love the fact that it brought a GN Sword 3. Now, I have mixed feelings about this because when I'm trying to use this on the model, it kind of falls apart on itself, as you can see there. It just falls apart on itself. But it's, if you know, nothing that a little glue can't fix. It's just a little bit tedious, right? So as you all know, the GN sword that the amazing Exia uses, it's a little bit different because it's a half shield, half blade instead of being like a full shield and full blade. So if you guys have seen the amazing Exia or Exia Dark Matter before, then you also know that it also carries a whole bunch of other stuff on it. So I love the fact this is probably my favorite weapon in Gundam when it comes to blades. So I think that this was a great addition. Like I mentioned before, I did not use the orange blade. I went ahead and used like the orange pinkish blade. So that's a plus. Definitely a good looking weapon. To pose it, it's a little hard because it takes forever to get it right. Now with that being said, you can also go ahead and attach clear parts to it. Well, that's the wrong one. There we go. So you can also attach clear parts to it. So if you wanted to go ahead and make it like a blade, it also turns into like a double saber, and I love that. I definitely love that about this weapon, this specific weapon itself. So this is a plus. So Iron Toys really kicked that out of the park with that one. Up next, we do have the shield itself, and everybody knows that the amazing GN shield also transforms into a bow. And this is probably one of the best gimmicks I've seen for anything that's like 00 related, where you could, this actually turns into either a projectile, and you can also add a clear part to the top here to make it, give it like that firing effect for like it's firing, you know, I don't know, beam or whatever, a beam or whatever. You can use that one, or you can use this one as well. So that way it turns into like a little beam with a blade. It looks really good. It's a projectile with a lightsaber on it, so it's always great. Then it also attaches like a normal GN shield, so you're not really missing much when it comes to that. It's just the same attachments as if it was a 00. Now, for the Buster Blades, I have mixed feelings because the model itself has no way of holding the blades stiff. You can only like place them on the weapon grasping hand, and because they're so heavy, they sag. So that is a negative on my end, but they do look cool. So you do have the option of building two different blades. You can build it with the GN type clear part, or you can build it like a you know, normal Buster sword with the actual silver. Both of them look really nice, although for display, if you're going for the Iron Toys look, then definitely this would probably be the best bet. It looks a little shinier because I sprayed semi-gloss on the whole kit, but it definitely looks good. And the silver part, even though it's a metallic injection, it does look good as well. Now next, we do have these swords. So these are supposed to represent like the 7 swords or whatever from 00. And I know some people might say no, but I think that that's exactly what that is. So these swords actually have a gimmick. So when you take that part off one, and then we'll go ahead and take another one off another one, you could actually go ahead and join them together. I'm not sure why that one didn't want to work, but I'll figure it out later. You could actually go ahead and attach one there and attach the other one here. And then once you do that, you can have a double blade. I love this. Love this. Now, is this too heavy for the model to hold? Of course, because it doesn't have, the model doesn't have any pegs that'll hold the weapons on their hand. So again, you place it on a hand, it's definitely gonna sag. But aside from that, this will look really, really cool. Now next, we have the backpack. So I've always liked the amazing Dark Matter and amazing Exia backpack. And I love the fact that they went ahead and made it to where it turns into an avian. If you guys are familiar with the conversion kits, like resin conversion kits, you could actually tell that some of these models that are coming out nowadays that are representing those conversion kits, they do have a lot of features. Now, with that, I want to say that I would have loved if they would have included a adapter for the base that would actually let you stand alone this backpack and then pose the Star Destroyer separate. I would have loved that. You know, I don't know if it's because I was either missing a part, or maybe, you know, it's the base didn't bring the part, or they just didn't include one, but I would have loved that. This has a bunch of gimmicks. You do have the dark matter backpack gimmick right there. You also have parts that separate. You do also have some magnetic play here for parts. Now, that's very annoying. I'm not going to lie. The placement on the magnets for that, terrible. Every time this hits against something, it'll fall off. So just keep that in mind whenever you are posing, that you don't actually like drop it or anything like that, because these will fly off. Like, these will definitely fly off. They're really good aesthetically when you place other weapons on there, because you do have the feature of going ahead and placing the weapons like so to give it like extra feature on the backpack. Myself, I don't like how that looks because it just gives it a big backpack and it's a one pose pony at that point. But aside from that, it does look good when it's posing. Now, magnetic parts, don't really like him. I do like the fact that they included the avian head and they made it into like this little standalone backpack. Would have been great to be able to pose it on its own. You also do have attachments here that have gimmicks that move. You do have your GN drive there as an amazing Exia Dark Matter. Very similar in design. And you also have water slide decals that add a lot of detail to the backpack. And let me tell you, this kit did not disappoint when I was building it. I think that the parts that actually disappointed me the most was the magnets. The magnets are terrible. You know, the placement is terrible. They could have done a lot better when it came to placement for those. They could have actually used it for weapons or even the shields. Now on to the star of the show, and it's going to be the Star Destroyer. And this is one heavy boy. Let me tell you, this metal frame, the metal frame that this includes, is just heavy and sturdy. This thing will stand up on its own without any problems whatsoever, no matter what pose you give it. Now, with that being said, that also comes with its own set of problems, which means that, you know, you do have all these plastic parts that are attached to a metal frame that might fall off depending on what you try to pose. Now, the model itself is very complete. It does have a magnetic LED feature where if you do have the magnet right here, all you got to do is press it against the chest and it'll turn on the LEDs for the actual model. Now, I have to be very honest with you, even with the light being completely off, this thing does not light up at all. The LED itself is super dim, so if you are looking into putting LEDs into this model, I would suggest trying to maybe wire your own at that point. Now, straight into the head design, as you guys can see, I already chose the Exia, you know, Dark Matter head on this one. It does have a lot of flexibility up and down, back and forth. Moving on to the arms, you do have complete 360 of the arms, and you do have a lot of flexibility for posing when it comes to it. You do have a small movement of the wrist, opposable thumbs, and of course you do have your arms there. You can also move the shoulder armor to make space for extra posing. Aside from that, you do have the standard 00 shoulder movement where you can just pull the shoulders forward and back a little bit more for extra posing. And there goes a part. Of course it does it while I'm reviewing it. This always happens. I hope you guys enjoy that as much as I do. Well, now you know. Some of the parts fall off. Straight into the torso itself, you do have back and forth joints. Now, I do want to mention that that happens if you do it a little bit too hard, because even though you do have a metal joint in there, you do have a polycap that bends forward. So just keep in mind when you're flexing not to flex it way too much, because it will fall apart. Now for the side, you do have your standard 00 side to side, and you do have to be careful when you're doing that because parts do fall off or fly off in this instance. I would probably glue that. I don't know why I didn't glue this when I was building it, but if anybody's watching and you guys want to go ahead and glue that so that it doesn't fall off, these little armor parts right here that go attached to the actual metal plating, it does fall off. Mine fall off at least. I'm not sure if yours will fall off, but you know, just keep that in mind as a precaution. You might want to glue those. After that, you do have your complete 360 of your waist for your double O posing there. For the legs, you do have your standard posing. Now, I have to say that, you know, double O kits are probably one of the best ones in my opinion that pose. Aside from like maybe like a Master Grade Barbatos and then the new Full Mechanics Aerial, I believe that the double O kits do have the flexibility because they do not have a lot of armor that covers the way that they're posing. So you do have your side to side, and there went another part flying. You do have a side to side, and then you have your full bend of the knee in double sections. Now, the knee itself does have a gimmick where you get separating armors when it comes to the knee movement, but just keep that in mind. And again, be very careful because lots of parts fall off when you're trying to pose the kit or move it in a way that it doesn't want to. Aside from that, you also do have the ankle, so you only have like a small toe bend there. And then you have your foot bend. You don't have a lot of movement. Again, this is featured as a you know, from a double O frame. What I can tell you is that aside from maybe the plastic parts falling here, some plastic parts falling here and there, that inner frame is super sturdy. Super sturdy. I have no complaints aside from armor pieces falling off when you're trying to pose it. So what can I say? Iron Toys has surprised me a lot, and I believe that this is what the dark matter should have been had it been released the right way, without all the double O kit problems. But aside from that, it's a terrific kit. I would definitely recommend this to anyone, whether you're snap building it or putting it a little bit more effort into it. It's definitely a win in my book. Aside from the fact that my base is useless now and I have to use another one, I definitely love this kit. And that is it for today's video review. If you like my content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Huge shout out to Gundam Central again for making this review possible, and stay tuned for the next review coming soon.